I just want to say thank you. I am so humbled to be in this room. I'm humbled to be on this stage. And I think the reason is because I just realized that there are so many people who have been faithful in the work of pursuing racial healing and justice, people whose names we will never know. And I just get to stand as one who has been blessed by their faithfulness and one who wants to carry that torch forward as well. So Nicole, again, thank you. Thank you to AARP for this incredible opportunity. And I also want to say thank you to you, Morgan. We had a chance to talk before the ceremony began, and I know I'm not the only one in the room who is just so grateful for the contribution and the legacy of Dr. Odell Owens. Let's just honor him again for his contribution to our city, to our lives, to the country. And thank you and your family for sharing him with us all of those years. And we grieve with you and stand with you. And I also want to say thank you to Iris Rowley, who is also a recipient today. I had a chance to serve on a board with Iris, and how many people know Iris Rowley, have had an interaction with Iris Rowley? She does not mince words. You know that, right? And I remember Iris teaching me a valuable lesson as we were serving on this board together that has stuck with me to this day, which is really around the work that I am called to do. And in short, her lesson was, don't let your power come from what you say in this work. Let your power come from what you do in this work. And I credit her with that lesson, and I want to live into that lesson every day. I don't stand here alone, and so you mentioned her already, but I'd be remiss if I didn't thank God for 20 years of being married to my amazing wife, Maria Mingo, who is with me today, who is a rock, to me, to our family. Maria and I met, I was 19 years old when we met, so my wife has been with me through thick and thin, up and down. She did not know she was marrying a pastor. She did not know she was marrying a guy who's going to go lead a nonprofit. She thought she was marrying a guy who wanted to be on the cover of Black Enterprise magazine. So she has gone on this journey with me, and I'm very thankful for her and for our 3 kids and the opportunity we have. I'm also thankful for my parents and family who are in Philadelphia. I lost my father 2 years ago, and 3 years ago, and I just remember his memory on days like this especially. And my mom is 86 in Philadelphia, and I know she would love to be here. This will be recorded and shared with her. She will be so proud of her baby boy, as she always is. And I also just want to say thank you to my Undivided team. I don't do this work alone, and so if you're a facilitator, if you're on staff and you're here with Undivided, I want to say thank you to you. In fact, would you stand if you're connected to our staff team or Undivided in any way? I just want you to stand. I just want to thank you and honor you. Now, I know there's some people here and they're not standing yet, so I'm asking them to stand. There we go. There's a couple people standing, some staff in the back that are standing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, team. Thank you so much. This work is impossible without you. And I'm also here with my Crossroads community. I'm so thankful for Brian Tome, our senior pastor, Darren Yates, our executive pastor, the leadership team of Crossroads, and there are people here from Crossroads. That is my community, is my spiritual home. And it is the place from which I draw strength for the work that God has called me to do. So community of friends and family and mentors, all of you in this room that are personally connected to me, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. I want to just reflect briefly on what it means for me to receive this award. And it takes me back to one of my favorite events at the Olympics. I love the Summer Olympics. I love all Olympics, but I love the Summer Olympics. And I especially love relay races in track and field. I love relay races. And there's just something about that resonates as we think about living the dream that Martin Luther King articulated. Many of us know that the last sermon that he gave, or the last speech that he gave, he talked about going to the mountaintop. And he has a line in there where he says, I may not get there with you. And you know what? As I think about the work of racial healing and justice, I think that's true for all of us. In some respects, all of us in this work are in a chain of a relay race. And there are people who have run before us for whom we should be grateful. And we want to run our race faithfully because we too want to hand the baton off faithfully to the next generation. And I really feel that today. So as I think about this award, it's a moment for me to reflect with gratitude on those who have been the ones who have run this leg before me. The last song before we started to have the event was from the movie Selma, and it was the song Glory. And that song with John Legend and Common is such a powerful song. And that movie was a powerful moment for me. When Glory came out, I remember watching it, and I remember the scene of Bloody Sunday. And there was a woman whose name you never knew, church lady dressed up in church hats, looks like all the people that I went to church with growing up as a kid. You saw her in her Sunday best walk across that bridge, and you also saw the gas begin to fill up the bridge, and you saw the troopers begin to ride on the horses with their batons. And I knew, and you knew as you were watching it, that this woman was about to face violence by trying to stand up and represent her dignity as someone who was worthy of the right to vote in this country. And I remember that moment in the movie for me was so impactful, because I said, whatever it is that I'm called to do with Undivided, I do it because of a woman like that, whose name I will never know, who stood on a bridge of Bloody Sunday so that I could have the right to vote in 2022, in 2023. What I didn't know is that I would get to meet that woman. I didn't meet that exact woman. But on a trip to Selma, I got to meet a woman named Linda Lowry. And Linda Lowry was 15 years old on Bloody Sunday. She was the youngest person to complete the march from Selma to Montgomery. And I got to sit with Linda, and I got to see what it looks like to be with someone who at the age of 15 took the risk to walk across a bridge, not once but twice, made the effort to walk to Montgomery, and stood up so that today I can stand up with the freedom that I have. So I am so thankful for people like Linda Lowry who have run the race before me. And if anything, I just want to make sure I'm having a good exchange of the baton as she passes it to people like me. I also think about Opal Lee, who I had a chance to interview in a podcast episode. Opal Lee is the champion of Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday. Something that she didn't know would happen in her lifetime, but I am so glad that Opal Lee is still with us. And this year we'll celebrate the third holiday of Juneteenth as a federal holiday because of her faithfulness. She's run her race well. And there are so many others that I could name. And I won't do that because I don't want to belabor the moment. But I do just want to say, for me, as I reflect on this reward, it's an opportunity to look back at people like that. I came across a letter that Frederick Douglass wrote to Harriet Tubman. And I want to just read a paragraph of it to you because it's how I feel today. He said to Harriet, he said, "I have wrought in the day, you in the night." He was talking about the fact that his work was very public, that he oftentimes found himself on stages like I'm on right now, but that Harriet Tubman's work for freedom and justice was often not in the limelight, and in fact was done in secret and in the dark. And so he said, "I have wrought in the day, you in the night. I have had the applause of the crowd and the satisfaction that comes of being approved by the multitude, while the most that you have done has been witnessed by a few trembling, scared, and footsore bondmen and women, who you have led out of the house of bondage, and whose heartfelt God bless you has been your only reward. The midnight sky and the silent stars have been the witnesses of your devotion to freedom and of your heritage and of your heroism." And I just sit here and say that I know that's true. That as I stand here in this public sense, I know that there's a witness beyond what I can know, a cloud of witnesses of people who are really why I'm here today. Many of you in this room who have loved, who have led, who have been in times where you haven't had your dignity honored simply because of the color of your skin. And so as I am in this room as someone who is running the race right now, I just want to say thank you to you. I want to say thank you for handing the baton off with faithfulness, showing us what it looks like to love with dignity, showing us what it looks like to be courageous in the pursuit of racial healing and justice. And my only hope is that I would be faithful enough to join you in that cloud of witnesses when it's time for me to run the race, to finish the race. And that I would hand it off to the young generation that inspires me already with their clarity and courage. And that like you and like Opal Lee and like so many others that have come before, one day I would be able to hear the words of God saying to me, "Well done and good and faithful servant. You fought the fight. You've run the race. And now there stands for you a crown and reward." And so I am laboring not for the reward of days like this, but I'm laboring for an eternal reward that I think is possible because I believe the future belongs to those who love. So may we be those who love. Thank you so much.
standing up.